Barak Yehovah, Barak Yehovah Shah, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Kurhak Nadash. All praises, honor, glory, love, respect, faith, and power, and trust, and all credit to my Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and my Heavenly Big Brother, Yahweh Shah. Thank you so much for what you've done, what you're doing, and what you're going to do. Double honors to the apostles and elders and bishops of GMS, Great Millstone, who I learned from, and all the men scattered all over the world, teaching this truth and none but the truth in the name, spirit, and the power of Yahweh Bashim Shah. Trying to put a spiritual bug in your Hebrew Israelites' ears, you so-called blacks, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, and you speckled birds. And what is a speckled bird? That'd be a Hebrew Israelite that look like some of the heathen nations, like for example, a Hebrew Israelite that look like a fucking white person, or a Chinese person, or an Indian person, etc., etc. Got some videos lined up about what's going on with this conflict, with these wars and these nations going at with one another. I'm gonna play these videos. I'm gonna get into the scripture my best ability, say whatever God say through spirit and power, Yahweh Bashim Shah, the Holy Spirit, the Kurhak Kadash, Lord will be on me. Let's get it.
Drones have changed how wars are being fought. These cheap weapons certainly pack a punch, but the real challenge is intercepting them. You can fire machine guns or shoot missiles. Either way, you spend millions just to bring down a $20,000 drone. Clearly, the cost is too high. Not only is that bad military strategy, it's a nightmare for accountants. But the United States has found a cheap solution, not a smaller missile or laser gun, but a microwave. The same science that warms your leftovers is now frying drones out of the sky. Our next report tells you more.
The US Army has unveiled a new weapon to shoot down drones. No, it's not a new interceptor missile or an air defense gun. It is a microwave cannon designed to disable swarms of drones by frying their electronics rather than blowing them up in the sky. So how does it work? And will it change the future of warfare? Drones...
I'm pretty sure they been had this shit, but what? And then, plus you got lasers too. How come you're not using lasers? Yeah. I'm pretty sure they have this microwave shit to be able to take drones down, or EMP device, yeah, that shit like that, an EMP gun. But anyway,
have officially taken over the battlefield. These weapons that can be assembled,
they ain't been using them much,
even in a garage, offer pinpoint attacks with a loud bang. They are cheap, they are reliable, and they make headlines. But bringing them down has armies worried. You can fire machine guns, launch interceptor missiles, even scramble fighter jets. Either way...
But how come they didn't use them? You know what I'm saying? How come they never been using them? I'm pretty sure they got the shit. They just ain't using them.
The cost to shoot down a drone remains extremely high. And the US is slowly changing that. Lockheed Martin has come up with a cost-effective weapon to bring down drones.
Like they just now come up with this shit? Come on, bro. They been had shit like this.
Microwave strapped to a drone.
Oh. I was wondering, what the fuck is this stupid shit? So it's a microwave gun that shoot, it's a damn, not gun, it's a drone with a microwave. You get what I'm trying to say. What kind of stupid shit is that? So this thing is a drone that's hunting down drones.
Called the Morpheus X Rotor. This is a ground-launched airborne, high-power microwave. A counter-drone system that is mounted to the spine of a drone. It can neutralize 50 swarm drones in one go.
Really?
It directs beams of electromagnetic energy as it nears enemy drones that...
So, pretty much, it's a EMP drone.
Fries the circuit board of the drones, forcing them to fall down without entirely destroying them. This is the same technology we see in our kitchens.
Oh man, they shouldn't be had shit like this and using them. Why are they not using them? Why are they not using them? I know they been had shit like that. They ain't like, oh, it's just now happening. Anyway, they probably got these for Israel, and the United States ain't using them for their defense.
In the microwaves that we use to warm our food. The Morpheus X Rotor is reusable. It has a significantly low cost per kill compared to other anti-drone systems.
I don't give a fuck about this shit. That's a funny thing. They got shit like this, but how come they're not using it? Anyway, it's not like I give a fuck anyway. Shit. But I'm just, questioning why they're not using it. Anyway, next video.
This is the fake ad you see everywhere, right? But this is Ebony, a real game.
I don't think this video gonna be too long. The one I'm doing right now, this might not take too long.
Now I know what you're thinking. Aren't they exactly the same?
Israel is not fighting in this war anymore. So they got us into it. Marco Rubio even admitted that the Israelis were the ones that got us into this war, that they'd called and said, we're going to bomb Iran. And the U.S. said, well, shoot, if you're going to bomb them, then they're going to bomb us. So we got to get involved. So this was all Israel's doing. And then Israel runs off. They stop.
Yep. They run off, tuck their tails, hide in the corner, shit, and do dancing and drugs and fucking little kids and shit. Let me get this. Jeremiah chapter 50. But now because they're drafting some of their citizens, their Orthodox Jews. But they might not do shit anyway. They might not send them off the war. They might just draft them and train them. But I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, Jeremiah chapter 50 verse. I read 45. I start 45 because that's the whole scripture anyway. I mean, I could just read this part, but let me go ahead and read 45. Therefore, hear ye the counsel of the Lord Yahweh that he have taken against Babylon, talk about America, and his purpose that he have purpose against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least shall draw out the flock, or draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation. No, surely least the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. So the gutter rats are going to pretty much setting America up, or Babylon the Great up, to be destroyed, all because of them. And it's all prophecy anyway. But the least of the flock is I don't want to say that because they don't deserve to be called Israel. Let's just say Amalek. Yeah, them baby dick suckers. They drawn out America to come out and fight for them, but now all of a sudden they're hiding.
Fighting with us. They provided a little bit of air support in the beginning of the war, but then they stopped entirely and they focused all of their energy on continuing to bomb Gaza, going after the West Bank, and also mostly right now Lebanon, and bombing civilians in Lebanon, taking land in Lebanon. That's now what they're off doing while we're off fighting the war that they've always wanted us to fight on their behalf. Mm-hmm. And so they want us to keep this war going. And we have now known that throughout the war in Gaza between Israel and the Palestinians, when they were slaughtering them, and this war, that the Israelis have just continued to lie and lie and lie. They lied to us about Iraq. They lied to us about Iran. They've lied and lied and lied and lied. Well, the lies are continuing. And the latest lie is that Iran has moved its nuclear centrifuges down deep underground. Really,
yeah, they're always underground. Them tunnels.
Really far underground. And with them being so far underground, the only way to really get to them is to nuke them. That is what you'd have to do. This is the story from the Wall Street Journal, that this is the Israeli intelligence that is now telling U.S. intelligence, hey, we have it on good authority. Our intelligence shows that Iran does have nuclear centrifuges. They've moved them deeper underground. That's where they are. So you thought that you got rid of their nukes. You thought you bombed them in Operation Midnight Hammer. You thought you got them again during this war, but no, they're deep, deep underground. And the only way for you to get them is to nuke them. And we've all known exactly how reliable Israeli intelligence is, but this is what they're now trying to tell our U.S. officials. And the problem is our U.S. officials seem to be pretty gullible, and they just say, okay, they nod along and they believe whatever the Israeli intel officers tell them. For whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe they're that stupid. Maybe they're, at some point you'd have to think, look, you've lied to me how many times, so I'm not going to really believe you. We're going to just trust our own intel. And our own intel communities have told us over and over again that Iran is not pursuing a nuclear weapon. We've seen our intel communities say this over and over. Tulsi Gabbard testified to that to Congress at the beginning of this war. But no, we have to believe the Israeli intelligence, the intelligence that we can't actually verify. That's what we got to do. Even though they've lied to us over and over and over again. Why? I don't know. Maybe the blackmail operation, I'm sure, just goes deeper than a few politicians and modeling scouts. I'm sure that the blackmail operation, which is bigger than just Epstein, includes going after people deep inside of our apparatus, going after the bureaucrats, going after the intel officers who are there for decade after decade after.
Well, anyway, I don't know if I'm going to keep playing this because it's like 20 minutes long. I don't think they're going to... Well, I don't think nuking... Nuking... Who says you're going to nuke? Oh, yeah, nuke Iran. I've been saying it, too. I've been wanting it to happen. But if they nuke Iran, then a whole bunch of other people going to jump on board. But that would skip prophecy like the chip implant. You can't do that. That can't happen. You can't nuke a country and thinking, okay, then you nuke a country, then everybody steps in, like Russia steps in, China steps in, then everybody steps in that bitch. Because once there's a nuclear bomb being used, I just speak as man. Once a nuclear bomb be used, then yeah. I don't know if it might be a small nuke. I don't know. But one thing for sure, the chances of one nuke goes off and as others go off. But the one nuke goes off and other countries get involved with their nuclear arsenal. they can't happen because they got to have the chip. The microchip got to be implemented. So first the chip implant's gonna be implemented, and then all hell start breaking loose with nuclear warfare. But anyway, yeah, I wouldn't mind them. I don't know. Like I'm saying, the possibilities, they might let one nuke go and then let it slide. Yeah, the Lord might allow. They might put a spirit on these heathens not to react. I don't know, but anyway. But it's still gonna go nuclear. I mean, these niggas are about to go. I mean, how am I gonna try to say this? Nukes are not off the table. This is all prophecy. I haven't watched any of these videos, so I don't know what I'm gonna expect when I'm playing them. Like I said, this video might not take long for me to finish.
Unfortunately,
Somebody already took the defibrillator out the box. Let's see. Somebody already took that bitch out the box. I wonder why. Because they're already using that bitch. Clear. Yeah. He's gone. He's out of here. They got to recharge. They probably didn't even got the damn thing recharged. They used it so damn much. Heck yeah. Panicking in that bitch. Yeah, they running.
Good.
I guess they going inside of a bunker. Yeah, they going inside some kind of bunker. Let's see what the title says. U.S. Soldiers' records destroyed. Jordan Air Base after Iran missile attack exposing Trump and army. Man. Oh well. Hey man, what they gonna do about these missile defense? I mean, I guess they I don't know. Them hypersonic missiles, they can't do much about them because they ain't got the technology beating them. But what happened to the lasers though? I think in laser, yeah, they supposed to have hypersonic missiles, but what happened to that? They just now talking about they got a microwavable drone, a drone that can hit an EMP on 50 drones coming to attack. Get the fuck out of here, nigga. I know, whatever. Man, I hate to be in a situation. Be one of them people.
Grab them too. Yeah.
But you know what? When I say that, yeah, I mean, be in that situation, that same situation these soldiers going through overseas is coming to America. Yeah, it's gonna be place gonna be attacked, hit. People gonna have to go underground. Yep, in basements or somewhere, cause bombs are hitting. And I ain't talking about nuclear bombs. I'm talking about just conventional explosive missiles and shit. Especially in a major city area. Bro ain't had no time to put his pants on. He didn't draw. They gonna be down fighting in their drawers. Or either them shorts.
Guys off the walls if we can. Try to get a TBI.
airport in Jordan has become the latest flashpoint in the escalating US-Iran war after Iran's Revolutionary Guard claimed it struck American aircraft with ballistic missiles. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, says its aerospace force launched what it described as a precision missile operation targeting U.S. military aircraft at King Hussein International Airport, also known as Aqaba Airport, in southern Jordan. According to...
Let's get to the next one. Well, let me read this. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 5. The next one's going to be talking about the same thing, I believe. But Isaiah chapter 9 verse 5, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire and using no missiles. And they light American bases up.
We begin with the war in West Asia. Last night, the United States carried out multiple airstrikes in Iran. This was the 12th consecutive night of bombing. The U.S. Central Command has released footage of the airstrikes. President Donald Trump says the U.S. is winning the war. He made the claim while attending the funeral of an American soldier who was killed by Iranian attacks.
So we're likewise winning in the Islamic Republic.
Goodness gracious, boy, these niggas are lying. Oh, he was in Georgia, that was yesterday. But that nigga lying to you Georgians. Boy, they are lying to you niggas so bad. Boy.
Of Iran, and we're ensuring that they will never, ever be able to do to us what they've done to so many.
Now, the United States has
Boy,
deployed
these motherfuckers are simple as can be. Shit.
Overwhelming air power against Iran. Despite that, Iran keeps fighting. This morning, the IRGC, or the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, retaliated. They fired a wave of ballistic missiles and drones and struck multiple U.S. military sites in the region. As per reports, Iran hit at least 4 American camps in Kuwait, along with U.S. forces stationed in Jordan. Iran claims it has destroyed a Patriot air defense battery and an MQ-9 drone depot in Kuwait. But the main story is from Jordan, where Iran claims to have struck a THAAD battery, along with a Patriot system and a CRAM radar. This is what Iran is claiming. And even if every claim may not be accurate, the bigger picture is impossible to ignore. Iran has found a way to crack the world's most expensive air defense shield. Let's break it down for you. THAAD stands for Terminal High Altitude Area Defense. This is an anti-ballistic missile system. One entire unit costs up to $3 billion. Now let's look at the Patriot. An air defense system meant to intercept drones, jets and missiles. Each unit costs $4 million. Then we have the CRAM radar. CRAM stands for Counter Rocket Artillery and Mortar. It shoots down ground-launched short-range weapons. This radar costs $15 million. The THAAD, the Patriot and the CRAM work in tandem. Together, they're the world's costliest air defense system. And Iran may have found a way to blow them up, using just cheap Shahed drones and missiles, destroying sophisticated weapons of the United States. It's not just about eliminating equipment. It is about challenging the image of American invincibility. And the list of losses is only growing for Donald Trump. The United States has lost more than 40 aircraft. Dozens of radars and air defense systems are now offline. Even vital command centers have been destroyed. And these are just military assets. The human cost is also climbing. As per reports, at least 18 US troops have been killed since the war began. More than 550 are wounded. They are undergoing medical treatment. Clearly, Trump's war is taking a toll on American troops and assets. That does not mean the United States is losing the war. America does have the advantage.
Yeah, but they getting their ass whooped. Or either, well, I'm going to say, well, yeah, they getting their ass whooped. And Iran's fighting back. Hell, been fighting back. Yeah, they ain't lost the war. I mean, they haven't lost the war, but they are losing the war.
It has a bigger air force. It has satellites for intelligence and the ability to carry out long-range precision strikes. But overwhelming power doesn't mean absolute control.
Yeah.
Iran has shown that it can absorb the impact. It can retaliate on its own terms. An uncomfortable reality that Washington has to face. Because as the fighting drags on, Iran keeps proving that it has the missiles, it has the drones, but most importantly, it has the willingness to fight. So what is Washington doing about it? Setting new records for military spending. The United States has passed the 2027 defense budget. It's a whopping $1.5 trillion, the largest defense bill in American history. The House of Representatives voted 216 to 212 in favor. Last year, the defense budget was $900 billion. Now it has been capped at $1.5 trillion. That is a spike of nearly 66%. Any guesses who's paying? Ordinary American taxpayers.
I was going to say that. I'd rather let her say it, though.
This war has exposed the US war machinery in more ways than one. American dominance is being challenged by cheap Iranian drones. US military assets seem exhausted, overstretched. They are unable to defend against the swarms of aerial attacks. The world's so-called strongest military has just discovered that even billion-dollar shields can be cracked.
Joel chapter 3 verse 9. Proclaim me among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat their plowshares and the swords and their pruning hooks and the spears. Let the weak say I'm strong. That's Iran. The Lord beefing up Iran by using China and Russia to aid them with missiles, and plus making them smart. They're making their own shit too, and they're making America look like a bunch of fools. Yeah.
John Mellon.
I think Trump was legitimately trying to get himself out of this bear trap. You can't. That's why nobody before him did this. He can't get out, and he can't win it, because at the end of the day, the Iranians could very easily, if it's existential, they could hit the water salinization plants all over the region and make it uninhabitable. If push comes to shove, there's always that threat. They are not going to be removed from power, and they are not going to meet American demands. Hello, Russell Dobular here, filling in for Jimmy Dore, who is off on his own odyssey this week. So Washington Times reports here that Trump asserts that Iran desperately wants to meet with the United States. Let's see a little bit of that.
Mr. President, there are no signs that Iran is ready to stop fighting. So what is the plan? Is the plan to just keep bombing until they give up?
What, you know something that I don't know?
Will they continue to attack our allies and
You
kill
don't know
Americans?
what the dialogue is behind the scenes, that they want to meet desperately to try and end it because they're getting decimated. You don't get that when you listen to your fake station, but...
Yeah, he got a result of calling it fake news. Shit.
You don't know anything.
So talks are
you know
still
something
possible,
that I don't know?
You know, America getting their ass handed to them. They getting their ass spanked. Shit. And y'all lying about how many soldiers getting killed in that bitch. Shit, yeah. Lying ass.
You know something I don't know?
Well, tell us.
I will tell you, they want to desperately meet, and until they're ready to meet in a meaningful way, we have no interest in even. I'll be going to Dover for something that I feel is it's a great honor for me to do it. These are people that want it, and they feel like I do, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Very simple. It's a very simple dictum. They can
Here they go talking about that same shit again.
not have a nuclear weapon, and they won't.
So why are you trying so hard? All over, they trying so hard, willing to get a lot of soldiers killed, only because you don't want them to have a nuclear weapon. When China got nuclear weapons, Russia got nuclear weapons, North Korea got nuclear weapons. But I mean, you want to go after Iran because they have nuclear weapons, and if they don't care. I'm pretty sure they do. But that way you willing to risk so much shit just to go after Iran. Anyway,
They're not going to.
well, we know what this is all about. It's for Israel to get, well, not Israel, Amalek, to expand territory and take, well, you know, shit.
Chance of having a nuclear weapon. And as far as Iran is concerned, I'll let Pete maybe say a couple of words, but we are doing very well. We are degrading them at levels that nobody thought was possible.
Somebody should come out and say how many soldiers are getting killed right now, and especially getting hurt at the moment. They can't keep that shit hush-hush too long. Hell nah, they can't keep this shit. Oh, it's 10:44 on the clock. All praise Yahweh Shema Shah, the Wadi Yahweh Shema Shah. They can't keep that hush-hush too long.
Degraded really so seriously. They did slip something through in Jordan, and if we had
That was that video I was just watching or showing.
other operators, would not happened, unfortunately.
What does that even mean? What does that even mean? If we had other operators, you see, you ever see the X-Files? Yeah, well, we got a deal like that going, but our Alpha Centauri friends, they haven't been around lately. I'm a little disappointed in them. I picked up the bat phone. We have one of those in the White House, and they didn't answer. All right, so according to CBS News, Iranian official, and remember, this is now Zio BS News. Iranian official calls Trump's assertion that Tehran requested negotiations completely unfounded. President Trump's assertion that Iran has asked for a meeting to resume negotiations is completely unfounded, an Iranian official said Wednesday. The claim by Trump that Iran has requested negotiations, and that comes from a spokesperson for the Iranian government. This now from the Washington Post, U.S. strikes unlikely to move Iran, according to intelligence reports. Iran's government is unlikely to feel significant impact or soften its negotiating position as a result of new rounds of U.S. military strikes like those now underway, according to a new intelligence assessment described by current and former U.S. officials. Analysts at American spy agencies also have concluded that Tehran and Washington are, for now, stuck in an indefinite limbo between people.
This is Washington Post, and you will think Washington Post be controlled, especially by Amalek. But honestly, this shit has. I guess they let this they gave this a pass. I don't know.
And war, the official said. An uneasy.
It's actually the will of the Lord. The Lord allowed this to happen. Allowed this news and information to come out.
Dynamic, given the increasingly deadly nature of the tit-for-tat hostilities between the two nations. You wouldn't know it from the stock market, right? Just chugging along. The findings, which have been briefed to the administration, appear to underscore the dilemma President Donald Trump faces in a war that he and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu began in late February. Trump's current course of ever-expanding attacks appears to have led to a stalemate. But with the war deeply unpopular at home, more on that in the next segment, continuing escalation by the United States, such as the possible introduction of ground troops, poses political risks for the president with no guarantee of military success. The latest intelligence report was written primarily by the CIA, where analysts have underscored the Tehran regime's staying power, despite the loss of many of its top leaders and much of its military hardware to U.S. and Israeli attacks. In May, a CIA analysis concluded that Iran could survive a U.S. naval blockade for at least 3 to 4 months before facing more severe economic hardship. But could America bear not getting Iranian oil for that 4 months? I think not. Jonathan Panikoff, former deputy U.S. National Intelligence Officer for the Near East, said that the Trump administration appears to believe that if it keeps hitting Iran harder militarily, Tehran eventually will become more flexible. Quote, "That assessment is almost certainly incorrect," said Panikoff, senior director at the Atlantic Council think tank. Iran's government has repeatedly shown that its number one priority is the survival of the regime. I'm going to say government. It's the Washington Post. They're going to say regime. If they have a regime, we have a regime. Because if you think this government represents the democratic will of the American people, any more than the Biden government did or many successive governments before it, I got a bridge to sell you right here in New York. They call it the Brooklyn Bridge. I'm going to sell it to you. And that is willing to suffer blows despite the harm to its people and economy, he said. Quote, "I'm struggling because I don't think there's a lot of great options for the United States," Panikoff said, adding that he is skeptical Trump would launch a ground invasion. Quote, "You'll continue to see significant flare-ups in this conflict," he said, followed by periods of calm and then renewed fighting. Inside Iran, U.S. officials say they increasingly see tensions within the Tehran government between those Washington considers pragmatists and those seen as hardliners in the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and elsewhere whose power has grown. I'm just going to interject that I actually asked Professor Morandi last week that very question, and he dismissed the idea that you have different factions pulling different ways inside the Iranian government ridiculous, and he pointed out the unity of action that they've demonstrated as evidence that how could they be divided when they're so clearly united in the way that they're conducting this war. I think that's a good point. Rubio said the U.S. has heard directly from Iranians in government that they support a diplomatic agreement, but he acknowledged there's a tension with hardliners who seem to oppose it. The Secretary of State acknowledged he did not know what would happen if the hardliners prevail. "I don't think it'll be good for Iran. I mean, Iran's economy is in shambles, right?" he said. Well, apparently not enough. In statements over the weekend, both Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei and Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, Iran's chief negotiator in earlier talks with the U.S., urged unity as a necessary condition for victory in the struggle against the enemy. This is from Florida Public Affairs consultants. They could have just watched the Lego videos. They made that very Yes. I have been saying this from the beginning. It's been pretty apparent that the Iranians are not going to meet U.S.
Alright, anyway. Yeah, America, they booty spank. get to the next one.
You are watching and listening to the Electronic Intifada. I am John Elmer. This is the Resistance Report on day 1021 of Israel's genocide in Gaza, day 146 of the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran. We'll start with the maps, but as always, I'm reporting this on the afternoon of Thursday, July the 23rd. Here's the map of everything that we're going to be seeing today. We have two blockades now, blockade of the Strait of Hormuz choke point and the Bab el-Mandeb into the Red Sea choke point by the Yemeni armed forces. You can follow the Red Sea up there into the Suez Canal and into southern Israel. We will get to Yemen after, but let's look at this next map because we're going to start this week in Jordan. And here's a map of the site of the 17 principal bases that have been battered throughout particularly these last 2.5 weeks. The Americans are bragging about 12 straight nights of attacks. The Iranians respond to each and every one of those attacks. And you can see the bases. So Jordan, right underneath the O of Jordan there is Muwafaq al-Salti. That is an airbase, key strategic airbase that the United States has been using both as a shield for Israel, but also to project over to Iran for this war. And I started tracking this base before the war even started because we were seeing the buildup on that base. There wasn't enough room on the tarmacs on the aprons for all of the American fighter jets that had been taken to Muwafaq al-Salti Air Base. So we're going to start with that today. And the first video is going to have audio in, and I just want to warn you that the sound is loud. We're going to watch a ballistic missile land at Muwafaq al-Salti. So if you have your headphones on, be prepared for what it sounds like inside a U.S. military base when an Iranian missile hits you. So that is the chaos after a Friday strike at Muwafaq al-Salti. It was one of a number of strikes on that base. The U.S. admitted that 3 people were killed, although they did it in a very odd way, saying 2 people had been killed and 1 person was missing. And that missing person only was identified yesterday, 5 days after the attack. So that gives you a sense of the carnage, I believe. That's the only way you can confuse persons and body parts. The roll call didn't show someone was there, then you know the person that's missing. If somebody's in the infirmary without body parts, then you know this. So
yeah, and they had the one with the defibrillator. Yeah, the defibrillator was gone. So you already know they've been using that shit, or either they haven't charged it up because they had enough time to. I don't know. All I can tell you. Yeah, they're getting ass whooped.
The fact that they didn't know if it was body parts or a person until yesterday is really telling about the chaos of that strike that the Americans are just simply lying about. Although they were pressured after those first deaths, because that's when the American media immediately wakes up and says, like, oh no, soldiers have been killed, so therefore we have to pay attention to casualties. The U.S. has been hiding these casualties throughout the war in a way and lying in a way that I think makes the Israelis even blush with the way that they have been doing it. Although the Pentagon admitted that there's been at least 100 casualties since July 7th, which is when the ceasefire crumbled. Let's take a look at one of those strikes at Muwafaq al-Salti. So you see, these are strikes recorded by American soldiers, and this is really the only way we can get this kind of footage. I know a lot of people ask, why can we see on the ground footage? Well, this week we have on the ground footage. This next one has audio in as well. So that's taken from outside the wire. You can see they're on the other side of the fence, but watch this one here coming in, and you can tell that it's coming for them because of the trajectory of it. You see how it seems like it came from the bottom. So these are very significant strikes, and the warhead on these weapons is comparable to the warheads that the Israelis and the Americans dropped themselves. The Mark 82, Mark 83, Mark 84, 2,000-pound bomb, 1,000-pound bombs. The warheads on these Iranian missiles are comparable to those, and you can hear that just in the thunder after the strike and the way that fills the area. So this gives you an idea when we're showing these the launches of these missiles, what it looks like on the receiving end. And we appealed to American soldiers to send us more videos of what it's like on the inside, because obviously the people that are in charge are taking the lives of these soldiers not very seriously, and that they are wounded and don't seem to be counting them, doesn't seem to be relevant. So maybe we will get more of these videos from American soldiers sending out what's actually happening because their government and their military is lying about it. Let's take a look at number 6, because you can see the damage on these bases. We're starting to get this kind of damage report again. This is the SOAR Atlas that I've been telling you about over the last few weeks. Because of the way that the Atlas operates with layers, each map is, they're calling it 3D because each map is layered and you can add layers to the map. And that has made this censorship that the United States is going for fail, because we're able to use these maps to build out what is different in each satellite image and track it to its location, as you can see here clearly. We're looking this week particularly at the targeting of barracks. Soldiers' barracks were the target this week. Soldiers' barracks and hangars. And again, these are now what we saw in the early weeks of taking out all the radars, the significant long-range radars. This week, we're seeing that as well, but we're also seeing bases being targeted now. Base housing, which you see in the bottom left corner, being targeted. You're seeing the aprons of hangars being targeted, which means you're hitting planes, you're hitting drones. So this is a significant escalation by the Iranians, and it's part of the degradation of the missile defense array that the Americans and the Israelis have. That's been picked off, and you saw a report here, there. I've been reporting on it every week of the taking out of these radars. These radars are significant. They're long-range radars that make massive gaps in the missile defense array, and that is what's going to lead to these strikes hitting more often. We can look at the next one, number 7 here. You can see these are the airplane hangars here, and out on the apron. The apron is just the name for the parking area that you see in front of those shelters. If we look at the next slide, you can see direct hits on those, and you can also see, if you look in the left side of the screen, you can see 2 MQ-9 Reaper drones, and they're generally parked straight, and you can see that anytime you look at the satellite images. And so those have been blown off their squares. They're presumably, for sure, the one on the right is done. What the status of the one on the left is, they're getting these.
Last video.
For 125 years, Firestone has been building tires with one thing in mind.
Well, I thought we were dumb enough getting into this war against Iran, but apparently we're going to add China and Russia to the mix because we just can't have enough, apparently.
Hey, I mean, at least shall draw up the flock, man. Thanks to the Amalek. Yeah, Amalek needs help with the United States, and then the United States come in like they always do and be Amalek's pit bull and attack the country that Amalek pointed at, and then when they point at the wrong one, then yeah, the one they attacking, they got buddies, and the buddies are China and Russia. Shit. Yeah, and then thanks to Israel, Amalek. I'm gonna call them Israel. Thanks to Amalek, now China and Russia getting involved. Well, they have been, but you get what I'm saying.
We've got a lot of people in the administration making a lot of moves that clearly look like they are ramping up for a World War III with China.
Hell, it is World War III. It's just intensifying more.
And Russia involved. So it would be China, Russia, Iran, probably several other countries joining in on this against the United States and Israel, because I don't know who else is going to join in. I mean, this could...
Pretty much everybody. Everybody. Turkey. Oh, they've been always... Israel been fucking with Turkey. Well, let's see what Turkey gonna do.
Be one way that the U.S. gets the West into the war with Iran. The West doesn't want to get into the war. The European countries don't want to get into the war, but they would get into the war.
Yeah, them other European countries, the EU countries, they are involved in the war, especially when it comes to Russia. Germany, Russia, yeah. Anyway, and eventually they all gonna go to war with the United States, especially launching those missiles. The beast shall hate the whore and burn that bitch with them nuclear warheads.
Against Russia.
And the beast be EU. And the whore be America.
And then who would get into the war against China? Japan would join in on that, perhaps. Taiwan, of course.
Maybe.
You maybe could get some other countries to go up against China, maybe even India, if you bribe them enough. I'm not really sure how this all plays out, but it does seem like there is kind of this strategy building toward bringing these other countries into the war. And one thing that was really shocking, I don't know if you saw this, but Laura Loomer, the big she's got president's ear, and she's often going after people, and she gets what she wants quite a bit. And she recently, this was an interesting twist, but she had recently gone to Kiev, went on a trip to Ukraine, and has since flipped her stance on the Ukraine-Russia war. So she was one of those, hey, let's not demonize Russia, let's end the war, let's do a deal. And now she's full-blown for Ukraine, and she's one that's got the president's ear. And I think she often represents kind of the trend of where things are going. So I think it's important to watch what she's doing and what she's saying, because, like I said, she often gets what she wants. And if she's now saying, no, we have to support Ukraine, this is what's leading me to believe that we're now going to be adding the war against Russia and China in this. Here's Nikki Haley. We're seeing the warm up to this. Nikki Haley saying, it's important to remember that, yes, Iran struck our military bases and killed and injured many soldiers, but who is giving them the satellite imagery to do so? China and Russia. So we're going to start seeing a lot of the, let's just make a deal with Russia. We kind of did Russia dirty, and that's why they ended up invading Ukraine, because we were saying we were going to expand NATO. We were doing all these things, and, we're reasonable. We're willing to listen to them. That whole crowd is going to flip. And they're going to flip toward, no, we have to support Ukraine, we have to support the war. And the reason is going to be, there's going to be a concerted effort from the think tanks who are going to put out millions and millions of dollars in order to convert all of these first, hey, let's do a deal with Russia and end the war in Ukraine, converting them into, no, Russia is the bad guy that the Democrats claimed Russia was all of this time. They're just as bad as China, and they're killing our American troops.
Yeah, but Russia, hey, man, that's war. But what about Ukraine? Did she say something like, sorry, I was a little distracted, but United States, they being hypocrites, man. Y'all giving aid to Ukraine, so how come it'd be fair that Iran get some help too? You know what I'm saying? Hell, and then wasn't the United States begging for help from other allies, but they didn't want to bother? Yeah.
Troops with their,
that shows you that United States is getting their asses whooped.
Imagery, their weapons, their satellites, all of this are helping, and that is going to try to get the United States to ally, because that's really what, when you're building a world war, how do you go about doing it? You've got to get everybody's interests lined up together. Maybe everybody has different interests, but you can at least line them up on the same goal, right? And so you could say to the European nations, okay, you don't want to join in on the war against Iran, fine, fair enough, but you do want to join in against Russia. And then the Europeans say, yeah, okay. And they say, no, but we don't want to go up against China because the Europeans don't want to do that. And they say, well, yeah, but Russia. And so they can play everybody's hand, try to get everybody to...
Yeah, they don't want to go to war with China because a lot of important things come out of China that's being produced by China, like medicine and electronics and such. And they get a lot of stuff assembled and finalized, or certain rare earth minerals, metals that's coming from China, and they're using it for their weapons to go to war with Russia and China, which makes no sense. Oh no, Iran, which makes no sense. You're getting metals to, anyway.
To feel like, okay, yeah, we have to do this. Here's another news report saying, oh no, U.S. officials fear China and Russia are helping Iran. Just building up that narrative against those two countries.
Also this morning, new reports raising concern.
Yeah, this bitch voice deep as fuck. But yeah, Russia and China being a guard, but mainly Russia is being a guard to Iran, the Persians.
Concerns about Iran's growing cooperation with Russia.
She like, the reserve, I'm like, god damn, bitch. No voice deep as fuck.
And China after the deadly attack on American forces stationed in Jordan. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that both countries likely provided Iran with intelligence and targeted support ahead of that attack. The report states Iran appears to be using the same advanced high-speed maneuverable missiles it deployed during its attacks on Israel back in 2024.
It has to be them hypersonics.
I think one of the interesting things, and I've just seen kind of breaking news on this, was the precision in which they were able to strike sensitive targets within Jordan. And the reporting is indicating that perhaps China or Russia was feeding them targeting information. Now, we need to get to the bottom of that, particularly if we're talking about China, on the back of the news that the president just broke and declassified about them stealing over 200 million voter files from the United States.
Oh my goodness, who gives a fuck, nigga?
States, and obviously interfering in our election where they were.
Now my speaker went out. Oh, now I gotta get another damn power station for power. Hold on, be right there. Puppy Whoopie. Baby Puppy. Bored Bubble. You ready to eat my food? I ain't been eating anything yet. She waiting for me to get some out the refrigerator so she can eat it. I'm like, nah, nigga. You got your food. You got
Line in.
You ain't eat all my food up.
Trying to influence through media campaigns or social media people's perceptions and how they were ultimately going to vote. China is our adversary.
So, right.
Yeah, he's an adversary, but you're getting all your goods from them. All your medicine, some of your food, clothes, metals, and all kind of electronics being assembled there. All that shit from China land.
Trump did last week start to say China meddled in the election in 2020.
I thought it was Russia.
In order to make Trump lose. And
I thought it was Russia that did it. Or was it North Korea?
A lot of Republicans are really mad. They're gobbling.
Okay, I mean, who gives a fuck? Anyway.
Hey, Georgia,
I guess this is the time where I need to just bail on out of this video. Hold on, let me see what else they got.
This is now open in Buford, the first store in the state off 85 and
During the 2020 election cycle, the people's...
Yes, they're still talking about that shit. Who gives a fuck? Okay, yeah, this the it. Because now they just talking about some dumb ass shit. They just talking absolute dumb shit. But there's war going on, not just with, you know, with the guns, but that's all cyber warfare. Oh, trade wars. What is this about?
Well, not realize China had a one-child policy for years.
Okay, that's it. Now she going off the topic about World War III. Let me see if I got another scripture to read. If I can find some. Well, I don't think I have anything. No, I don't have anything. Well, I'm just gonna say, seek the Lord by seeking His prophets, cause it's going down, bruh and baby. Don't know when it's gonna really get, how you say, intense, but it's gonna get intense and it's gonna get wild. So, like I said, seek the Lord by seeking His prophets. And take heed to what it say and try to build a spiritual mental relationship with Yahweh Shema Shah by praying Yahweh Shema Shah, praising Yahweh Shema Shah, worship Yahweh Shema Shah, fearing Yahweh Shema Shah, and repenting to Yahweh Shema Shah. To all the men out there pushing this truth and none but the truth in the name, spirit, and the power of Yahweh Shema Shah. Keep on preaching, keep on teaching, keep your faith and trust strong, Yahweh Shema Shah, stay humble. And for you few sisters out there taking heed, keep your faith and trust strong, Yahweh Shema Shah. Stay humble, stay in order with your man. If you ain't got no man, stay in order, Yahweh Shema Shah. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, and all praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. Shalom.